What is up, you guys? Marty McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the merch. Just got back from San Antonio, Texas. We basically had this difficult airway course. Couldn't recommend it enough for people who are in this particular area, or this particular field, I guess you could say. But the airway course was fantastic. But we had to travel. So traveling means only one thing. We had to go find some merch. And some merch we did find. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to relay you guys over to the little bit of the travel video, show you some of the places I went to. There's a lot to do in San Antonio. It feels like just a drier Tampa, Florida to me, if I could be honest. I mean, there is a lot to do. Great town, great people. I would say if you're in the Bull Verde area, be careful as far as the food goes. I ended up somehow being, I don't know what you want to call it, basically being trapped into going to a Chili's. I haven't been to Chili's in over a decade because I thought most of the food really went downhill. And guess what? The food at Chili's still sucks. The food just tasted like poison to me, so I just asked for my money back. I think the only thing that was nutritious was the beer, to give you any type of idea. So that Chili's in Bull Verde, Texas, stay away from that place, man. That place was just bad service. There's one girl at the bar, and she just wanted to talk to her patrons about whatever it is, but she could care less about your order, your food, whatever. I mean, she was nice, but at the end of the day, like, you got to pay attention to the customers, right? So Chili's in Bull Verde, So I left that. I went to the Chipotle next door, and that wasn't any better. The manager had to come out because the three Gen Z, whatever, were sitting, basically standing at the counter with their eyes in their phones. They heard the doorbell go off when I walked in the place, and I said hello, and nobody bothered to pick their eyes up. Then the manager, who's sweeping, had to come out, and he's like, guys, we have a customer. I think he said this 3 or 4 times before eventually we all just gave up. And I said, thanks but no thanks, the vibes are off. No. The food can't be that good if everyone's just staying on their phones doing this and not even paying attention to a customer. So don't go to the Chipotle in Bull Verde either. Honestly, San Antonio, though, the rest of the town's awesome. Barbecue's awesome. They got Whataburger. I was pretty happy with everything else. Anything that has Whataburger and barbecue in the same town, I'm going to be pretty stoked about. So a lot of traveling, a lot of things that we were able to sneak into a couple days over there. So let's get to that part first, and we'll talk about it afterwards. Alright guys, so pretty cool little tidbit of my trip there. The first thing I did when I got off the plane, I drove down to this place called Gravves Coffee. It's kind of like a goth, kind of like, it's not really metal, but everybody in there clearly listens to metal, but they weren't really playing metal on the radio. I mean, it could be just because it was a coffee shop. There's a little bit of kind of like the Cure-ish kind of industrial music being played, but definitely didn't hear any metal. But the rest of the shop looks awesome. It's just black on black, a lot of metal looking stuff. The coffee's a little bit on the expensive side, and you know, they have a lot of interesting ingredients that they put in their coffee. It tastes delicious. The one I had this, basically this plant that comes from South America, and I think because of the latte or whatever, it turns your latte greenish, and then it actually like gives you like this flavor of like almond and like dried fruit, like dried nuts and stuff. The latte and the coffee itself were fantastic. Personally, most of the time I'm just like a black coffee guy. I like the flavor of it, so this was cool to try something different. So if you're in the mood for coffee, there's coffee everywhere in San Antonio. San Antonio's got a little bit of hipster vibe to it, but maybe not to the degree, you know, not as bad as like some other towns. But I would say like the hipster vibe in San Antonio is pretty fresh. A lot of breweries, a lot of a lot of coffee shops, and I would say overall most of them are reasonably priced, as opposed to like if you were to go to Dallas where everything's super expensive. But the town itself is fantastic. So I went to Gravves Coffee. Very next step, the place I wanted to go to was closed. It didn't open until noon, so I drove around a little bit. And then I ended up going to Half Price Books, which I did not know there was a Half Price Books in Texas. I've been to Half Price Books in like Pennsylvania, Ohio, there's one in Seattle. I didn't know they found their way down to Texas. I love Half Price Books. One, a lot of great books for reasonable prices. If you want to buy them slightly used, they're always in a good condition, and the prices are very reasonable. But they also have video games, they got DVDs, they got CDs, they got vinyl, they got everything. They got manga, they got anime. And they go back with their video games too. I mean, you can find some real gems in there for a really reasonable price. So Half Price Books is awesome. I didn't end up getting anything. The only thing I wanted to get was a Ne Obliviscaris CD, but I was carrying my 2 bags with me, and I was like, I don't even know where I'm going to carry everything. And it was just one CD, but Ne Obliviscaris, if you're not familiar, great metal band, kind of like prog, death, a little bit of tech death, and then a lot of melodic, beautiful, like violin work, a little bit of synth every once in a while, but not like overpowering, but just an incredible prog death metal band. So if you haven't checked out them, check out Ne Obliviscaris. So, and we went to Half Price Books. I think I went over to Barnes & Noble, and then I went to a couple of places, and then finally I went to an Irish pub there. The Irish pub in San Antonio was amazing, great food. Prices are very reasonable. Great pint of Guinness. One of the best pints of Guinness I've had in a while. I even have like a registry of where I've had pints of Guinness that I genuinely enjoyed. Maybe ones that I ranked lower, but this one's going to be on the higher side. So there's a phenomenal Irish pub that is actually not too far away from the record store I went to. So go from the Irish pub, I go to Hogwild Records. I've been hearing a lot about this place for the last couple of years. My brother who's been in San Antonio, his friends that have been in San Antonio, they all say, if you're into punk, metal, and hardcore, you got to go to Hogwild. And they were not wrong. As you can see in that video, that place is a dome, like a haven, if you will, a cocoon, if you will, of heavy metal, punk, hardcore. They had so much stuff, and I really had to behave myself as to what I was going to get. Now, when you first walk in, you're immediately greeted with metal being played. Everybody in there clearly probably listens to metal. And there's just metal stuff everywhere on the walls. There's King Diamond stuff everywhere, Sabbath. There's Cannibal Corpse. There's Killswitch Engage. You got a lot of punk. You got a lot of stuff from like the Dicks. You got like the Melvins on there. You got a lot of like hardcore stuff. You can see like Have Heart is everywhere. You got Bane stuff everywhere. Like they know their stuff. I mean, not even just like the mainstream whatever. I mean, they have a lot of like they know their stuff. They know metal, they know punk, they know hardcore. I mean, more than just terror, but they got Marauder stuff in there. I mean, they really, of course there's Biohazard, but, you know, they really did have a phenomenal selection in there. One of the better I've seen in a while. Now, when you go into the middle stacks where the actual crates are, those are all new metal, and it goes on for quite a while. And then on the left, you got a whole used selection of kind of like mixed rock, punk, and metal, so I picked up a lot of metal in there, which we're going to talk about soon. Their CD selection's very, very, very good. They really did have a, you know, if you go towards the back, you can start pulling up the CDs used on the left. Some really good used metal in there. And then if you come across the middle, you start to see where all the patches, all the stickers, they have band tees out the wazoo that I haven't seen in a long time. Do I need more band tees? No. Did I look? Absolutely. I have enough band tees, but I wanted to look anyway, damn it. They even have old tour shirts that they're starting to like come out with, and I was like, wow. I mean, this is incredible. And then if you go down towards the right-hand side, you have the pricey, kind of expensive vinyl on the back wall. They have a lot of stickers, a lot of patches, a lot of pins, a lot of stuff from different bands. And then in the middle of that, you have your metal CD section, which was phenomenal. If I still had a CD player, which I'm trying to work on, because basically right now I do not have a CD player. My CD player is my Xbox One S. That is my CD player, because right now, don't have stereo. My car, I had to get a new car, because mine kept dying. And unfortunately, Honda doesn't make cars with CD players anymore, which sucks. Because it's something I really miss, something I really enjoy. Spotify's fine, it gets me where I need to go, but I really miss being able to pop a CD in, go from track to track, and then, you know, when you get out of work, it's still stuck on that track, so you can kind of get back into your adventure a little bit. Spotify, you change stuff at work, you fool around, sometimes you sign out, whatever, so, you know, you're not right where you left off. So, I do miss having a CD player, and I've tried many things with Honda to try and figure out a way. I even bought one of those portable CD USB drive things, Bluetooth that you can get, you plug it in, and Honda, I did not know this, but I checked it on forums, and they all agree as well, but Honda has disabled people from being able to use a USB CD drive or a Bluetooth CD drive, so those don't work. And I bought like one of the expensive nice ones that everyone recommended, so those are actually disabled, so you can't use those either. So if I was still buying CDs, which I still sometimes do if I really, really want something and I put it on the Xbox, if I was still buying CDs, I would have gone nuts in there, long story short. But this store was fantastic. The guys were really nice. You know, when you have a backpack and you have 19 bags like I did, you know, like my duffel bag and whatever, you put it down next to the register, no one's going to touch your stuff, but then it gives your arms free and start shopping. So anyway, Hogwild Records, can't recommend enough. There's a lot of other record stores in San Antonio I just did not have time to investigate because I was doing something else. That was actually part of my job. So, Hogwild, I recommend it. Please go. If you're in San Antonio, take the Uber, take the time out of your day. If you're into punk, hardcore, rock, metal, whatever, and go. So let's talk about what I got. One record that I've been wanting to actually own, but I wanted to find it in the wild because it was so easy to just get it on YouTube or get it on Amazon. But I wanted to find it. I mean, this is not something you're going to pick up in every record store. Sometimes you can request and they'll pick it up for you. But this is actually a better price than the one that was actually on Amazon. But I'm really glad to have this because is it my favorite I almost spilled the beans. Is it my favorite record by them? No. Is it more towards the bottom? Kinda. But I still really enjoyed it. There's a couple songs on there I really, really enjoyed. And I was kind of bummed because, like, it's, you know, the direction of the band right now, they lost their clean vocalist and got a new one. He's doing a great job. But now the lead screamer, he's doing a little bit of cleans as well. The only thing I didn't like about this was just a little bit too much synth, which they made this mistake before and everybody was really pissed off because the sound quality of that record was such garbage. They had to re-record the main track. Anyway, Bury Tomorrow, Will You Haunt Me, with that same patience. This came out on Music for Nations. I really wanted to have a copy of this album. And it's basically, I'm a completionist, and there are a couple tracks I really, really enjoy on here. I mean, the first track itself, they come out with a pretty good bang. I wouldn't say the melody really hits me at all. I feel like there's a couple tracks on here where the melodies they don't give me that meaningful sing-along melodic quality that I really look forward to in bands. Like, the best way I can explain it is if you listen to their last couple of records, every melody was just carefully written. They didn't feel like throwaway melodies that they just needed to fit in there. But but I would say, like, even the opening track, the melodies kind of go for, like, a Broadway type of music, you know, style. You know, where they're just hitting those kind of like Broadway chords. That's the only way I could explain it, but you know what I mean? Because like Ice Nine Kills does a little bit of that, like those kind of like Broadway chords. So they did a little bit of that on this album, which I don't usually always enjoy, especially with this band, and especially with the title called Will You Haunt Me With That Same Patience. I wanted this to be that darker, beautiful, melodic, haunting quality that I usually expect from this band. And I would say the guitar work is still present, but it's not as good as it used to be. I would say the guitar work has come down a little bit, with a little bit more focus on their synthesizer, you know, quality and keyboards. So I'd say that's a downfall of this album, probably why it's not near my top, because this band, for the longest time, was waving the flag for heavy metal and metalcore and modern heavy metal. This band, I would say, was waving the flag and just planting and saying, here we are. And this album really didn't have that. Now, is every band going to come out with a banger? No, but I would say the one album I'm thinking of, and unfortunately I can't think of it right now, but the record that came out, I think it was the record that came out right before Cannibal. Oh my god, I despise that album. And just because it was all synth, the guitar work really came down, and they even had to re-record the main track for that album. And you know, it's just it was a weaker album. I think they were trying to do something new, which is fine, but I would say, like, get rid of the synth, bring back the guitar work. They're, you know, I mean, even I would say Architects has really come that way as well. Architects is really focused on, you know, synth and just, you know, chords, but not a lot of guitar work, not a lot of leads, not a lot of melodic leads. And unfortunately with Architects, I think with Searle dying, you know, rest in peace, I think that was a big reason too why Architects really isn't doing a lot of guitar work anymore. A lot of it is synth and just simple chord structure, and then focusing on melody and singing, which is fine. I mean, I still enjoy Architects a lot, but the album that just came out from Architects is phenomenal. The one before it, don't like it at all. I really just, no. It's kind of like a whatever album to me. I listened to it once or twice, I was like, I can't do it. Just wasn't enjoyable. And this album isn't like that, don't get me wrong, it's not like that, but I'm really glad to have a copy of this. I would say if you're going to pick a song, if I was going to pick two for you to, like, just dig into, sink your teeth into, that I really enjoyed, Let Go and Silence Isn't Helping Us. If I was going to say, if you're going to pick two songs that I think are well made and deserving of a chance, I would say Let Go and Silence Isn't Helping Us. Give those a shot. Anyway, the new Barry Tomorrow, so glad to have it. I've played this a couple times now, and the longer that time has passed by, I'm starting to sink my teeth into it, starting to enjoy a little bit more. I think it's just a slow burn album I need more time with, but great band, long history, waving the flag for metalcore, as I say. Barry Tomorrow. Now this I was not expecting. I didn't even know this had a vinyl release. And the best part of the surprise is what's on the vinyl itself. This album is kind of famous between me and my brother because I remember getting it on CD, and then my brother downloaded it and gave me a copy, and the recording quality was absolute garbage. And it's just funny because it was almost unlistenable, and I think it was the way my brother recorded it off of Windows Media Player that it was unlistenable, that I avoided the album. I couldn't even play it until I actually physically bought it, and when I bought it, it was slightly better. The recording quality is famously bad on this album, which sucks because the melodies, the guitar work, the heaviness, everything about this album is so well made, except for the guy that produced and in the recording studio and how it was engineered. Everything about this album was so well done except for the engineering. It's kind of like how Beartooth is, and I mean, no offense to Caleb Shomo, I really like what he's done with Beartooth, you know, after leaving Attack and having all of his problems. But the first three albums from Beartooth are phenomenal recording quality. It's exactly how it's punchy, it's loud. And then now they've really just got this shit recording quality on the last two Beartooth albums where it's all mid, the bass is gone, and then the highs are gone, and now you're just stuck with all mid. Like, dude, I know Caleb does his own recording and stuff, but like, this needs to be engineered better. And I know some people are like, blah, blah, blah. We still don't like. The newest Beartooth album is fantastic, and I genuinely enjoy it. But the recording quality, the engineering is shit, and whoever needs to level it needs to redo the record and re-level it. And that's how I felt about this the first time I heard it. Have things changed? Absolutely. I think going through Spotify, playing it on vinyl, the recording quality is fine. It's a lot better than it was on the first recording I got. And then the first CD purchase of it, I think, was like meh. But I think with vinyl and Spotify, it definitely sounds a lot better. One of my favorite bands, all the way from Sweden, Evergrey. This is the Glorious Burden. Glorious Collision. Not Iced Earth, Glorious Burden. Glorious Collision by Evergrey. And what I didn't realize, I was like, that looks like it's got, and it is, it's autographed by the entire band. Now, I don't know why this was on the shelf and why no one picked it up, but I felt so happy to get this. This is one of my favorite bands of all time. My brother got me into them at least 15 years ago, and I've been obsessed with them ever since. And every time they get out a new record, I have to go out and buy it right away. And they've really never disappointed me with any of their albums. I mean, a lot of their albums have come down the pike, and the band has changed. You know, Thomas in England, still a phenomenal singer. He plays guitar, and the band is incredible. And I think he recently went through a divorce, and his new wife actually sings on the new record, and she does a phenomenal job as well. But this album was the era of Evergrey that I really, really like. And maybe it wasn't as popular because it just didn't get the press it deserved. But when Evergrey came out with Torn, it immediately was one of my favorite records of all time. I love the album Torn by Evergrey, and I don't know why more people don't talk about it. One of my favorite Evergrey eras, and one of my favorite Evergrey albums. And this came out shortly around that time, and it's autographed by the whole band. I was almost like speechless. I didn't know. I was like freaking out because I was like, I need this. No one else picked it up. This has got to be expensive. And I asked the guy, I'm like, how much? He's like, $20. I'm like, mine. Coming home with Daddy. You're coming home, and we're gonna get your ass framed. And I still plan on doing that. I think this needs a frame. I think the vinyl needs to come out, and it needs a frame. But anyway, beautiful, beautiful vinyl covers. I mean, these are incredible. I really love what they did with this. And then, of course, it comes on a gorgeous blue vinyl. And it's got a little swirl in it, like a little bit of a mucoid swirl in it, but absolutely beautiful. And I love what they did with the artwork. I mean, this is not something you get with the CD. So really happy, very happy to have this. And I mean, these custom center labels are incredible. Of course, this blue swirl, gorgeous vinyl. But of course, we have the back with our track listing. And boom, center gatefold with the whole band, Thomas England in the middle. Phenomenal band. Got to see them live once at the Token Lounge in Detroit. Thank God it wasn't like a bad section of Detroit. It was alright, but I had never been to Detroit before. Me and my brother went out together. I think we drove like 6 hours for this show. I think we got up early, drove across the state of Ohio, drove through the other side of Detroit. Got there the first time we had seen Borealis. Borealis, of course, blew our minds. I wish I had bought more stuff at the merch booth because I could have taken all their CDs home. And I wish I could have spent more time and actually got a chance to meet them. But Borealis was incredible. Wish I could see them again. They're hanging out in Canada doing their thing, and they do these tours, but I haven't seen them in Florida since, and I'm not driving back to Detroit for any particular reason. But, you know, incredible album. Doesn't get enough talk, and I think it's because that recording quality is a little off. But I think listening to it for the vinyl is a lot better. I'll be honest with you. It sounds a lot better to me now. Incredible album. I got it autographed. It's going in the frame. It's going to go along the frame with my Sabotage, First Press, and a couple of the other ones that I have signed. But phenomenal album. So happy to have this. Evergrey. I know I was talking about, tracks. If I were to pick like a couple of tracks for you guys, ooh man, what's funny is because Thomas England, his former wife, Karina England, she sings on quite a few albums, Torn included, and a couple of their first albums. But she sings on the final track, phenomenal, by the way. So The Disease, I'm Drowning Alone, and The Distance, if you go towards the end, and The Distance, Karina England sings on that. She sings on a couple of the albums after that as well. But I would say if you're going to pick a couple tracks, obviously the final track is phenomenal, and The Distance. I would say Leave It Behind Us, You and Wrong, and Frozen. And if you had to pick between those and you still couldn't figure it out, I'd say start with Frozen. Let me know what you think. Frozen's a phenomenal track. Last but not least, the band that needs no introduction, and not as much talked about record by these guys, but I love them all the same. This came out on Warner Brother, but Dio, The Last in Line. An album that doesn't get enough talk, but it is what it is. It's Dio, Last in Line. Love these guys. Rest in peace, Ronnie James Dio. And, of course, custom center labels. We have, like, this really old collage pic. And then you got the fans in the back, and then this, like, repeated photo. Black on black, custom center label, Warner Brother Records. And, yeah, The Last in Line, Dio. Glad to have it, man. OG press. Didn't even know this is something I would ever acquire one day. I mean, getting Dio OG presses can be expensive. But if you go to the right record store, a lot of record stores, some of them will post the more expensive stuff and escalate the prices. You know, there's a couple of vinyl in the Hogwild. I think they were upwards of, you know, $100. I think they had 10,000 Days by Tool on vinyl, which I know is highly sought after. I think that was around 100, 150. But really glad to have these in the collection. My collection just seems to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And thankfully right now I'm in a good spot. I actually have room for all my records, but I'm going to get a new desk drawer set up where I can actually post some, you know, obviously I'm still moving, I'm still boxing, so there's a lot of stuff back here. But got the new Halloween 2 jack-o'-lantern, glows beautifully from Spirit Halloween. If you're a Halloween fan and you're thinking about getting it, get it. Wait till these 20% coupons. I used it. I used a 20% coupon, got it, love it. It's nice and heavy, it's hefty, and it'll take good care of itself on your shelf. So really glad to have that as well. But, you know, really great trip. I have great things to say about San Antonio, Texas. Really was a neat city. It basically just felt like a drier Tampa with slightly better weather, considering the Tampa and Florida weather that I had been leaving was like humid and 94 degrees and brutal. But really had a great time, great airway course, and great metal, great people, great town, and great Guinness. So I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are taking care of each other out there. And you know what? I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep this channel going, but I'm hoping I can keep it going, providing I have enough energy at the end of the day. But, you know, I hope I get a chance to talk and meet with you guys and hang out a little bit. But I don't know, and if the channel ever fizzes out and things don't happen, then maybe it'll retire it out one day. But for right now, I'm having fun still making these videos, getting a chance to meet and talk to some of you guys. But hopefully you guys can like, comment, subscribe, keep the channel going, keep this dream alive. And hope you guys are doing well. Take care of each other. Remember, that guy's down in the pit, you pick him back up. Peace.